Hello guys, welcome to ZIAS. Guys, this video is going to be very relevant for you if you are preparing for civil services with sociology as the optional. Whether it is UPSC or state PSC, if the optional is sociology, this video is going to help you a lot. Guys, even if you have not decided your optional and if you are in a confusion what to choose, then also this is going to help you a lot. Okay, I'm SAFIR. I have cleared UPSC mains 3 times with sociology as the optional and I've topped the subject 2 times and I got 112th rank in my 3rd attempt. In all the 3 attempts, I went till interview with sociology as the optional. So I know what to read, what not to read, how to approach this paper and everything. And I've mentored thousands of students, guys. So I've come across all the problems of these students. I myself have faced all these challenges in finding the material, writing an appropriate answer, the answer writing format, the thought framework, what the questions need to be selected, because you will be getting choices also when you're writing the exam, right? Even selecting those specific and good questions which is going to reward you better, that is also a very vital, that will also play a very vital role in deciding your mark. And 1 mark is around 10, 12, 15, 20 ranks if you're going below. Don't forget that. So everything what we will do is we will discuss in a special webinar that I'm going to conduct on Saturday, this Saturday at 6 p.m. You will be joining me on the webinar. I'll discuss everything related to sociology. Guys, when I make a promise, everything, literally everything will be covered. You might have seen my videos in YouTube. There I'm discussing sociology, different topics, and you have understood the quality of classes. So imagine when you're joining for this webinar, what all benefit that you're going to get. Not only what I've promised, now I'll be giving you a lot of other surprises also. Join me on the webinar. I don't want everyone to join the webinar because we will have limited access and I don't want all the noises to come. So only those who are interested, please click the link which is given below. Join the webinar. Once you join the webinar, immediately you will get the login ID and password. Okay, guys, and you will get in touch with me also after that. Whatever doubts you have, you will be able to interact with me live. So in this 2-hour session, we will be interacting. I'll be discussing everything related to sociology, and it will be a much bigger value addition in your preparation, guys. Trust me, I'm promising you that you will be getting a lot of value for the time that you're going to spend along with me. So see you on Saturday and at 6 p.m. See you guys. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Good evening, all of you. Am I audible to all of you? Can you just message me? Is the voice is loud and clear? Okay. All right. Guys, if anyone is facing any problem, just log out and log in again. From my side, it is very clear. Okay. So we will start with the next theory today, class and class struggle. Before that, what we have discussed in the last session, we discussed about Marx theory of historical materialism, right? So we have seen historical materialism. We have discussed about Marx's idea about society and individual. Then we went ahead and we have discussed about the theory of mode of production. Tell me, what is your name? What is your doubt? You can just 1 minute. You can unmute and you can talk. Yeah, I just unmuted all of you. You can unmute and talk now. Okay, you're in library. Okay, just message. Okay, all right. Guys, any one of you can explain what we have done last day? I don't want the complete explanation of the theory mode of production, and we just need to know what all things we discussed, like maybe in 30, 40 words. Yeah, Parashuram, go ahead. Explain. Explain means you don't want to do it, completely. Okay, just do it faster.
Yes, sir. So basically, the historical materialism, it's about that idea about the society and the changes what exist in the society, and the changes again decided we have the existing society and the futuristic society. And in the existing society, you have again 4 types of existing society: primitive communalism, and state mode of production, and federal mode of production, and capital society. In primitive societies, that where there is a sufficient ample amount of foods are there. There is no distribution between in class, and all people are same, and the food also same. If anyone want anything, they just go and take from the nature. after that, some people try to create some tools which will, after increasing of people's number, the food production also need to be increased, and some people are
Just tell what are the different modes of production, what are the different classes, and that's it. That's
yes, yes. So then and so we were came to the next ancient mode of production, where we have divided into class: master and slave, and through the master of sufficient food and slave depend upon that food. Then we are come to the feudal mode of production, where we have again lords and the serfs, where the lords become the serfs are working under the lords. And then after federal mode of production, we enter into the capital society, where we have the capitalist and the workers. The workers are independent to work, and they will get the wages after working under the capitalist.
Okay.
And after that,
okay, enough Parashuram. Jiva, Joyce, can you do it?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, last class we learned about historical materialism. Historical materialism is nothing but he gives an idea of the evolutionary changes that happened in society with reference to changes in the material conditions. That is the production process, that is forces of production and relations of production. And this idea is, he borrowed it from Hegel's idea of dialectical idealism. That is, he overturned it as dialectical materialism, because the dialectics is what it means is it is the contradiction that is found in the society, and a new idea arises which will compensate that contradiction which arises. So he thought that the ideas which arise in the minds of the people, they arise because of the material conditions that is present in the society. So material
one minute. See, I think the one who messaged me now regarding this same doubt, I think that question is answered now. So for Hegel, it is the ideas which are present in the individual's mind which will generate the social change. But for Marx, these ideas are part of superstructure, and the economic infrastructure shape the superstructure. So because of the change in material condition only, these ideas are also changing. So for Marx, it is not dialectical idealism, it is dialectical materialism. I hope that question is answered. The one who were in library and asking me the message. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Now, historical materialism, it consists of two parts. One is conception of society that we saw in the last class, and the other one is the evolutionary model. The evolutionary model.
Evolution now, just quickly tell me in conception of society what you will write, and in evolutionary model what you will write.
In conception of society, we write about the forces of production, relations of production, the economic infrastructure, the social superstructure, the systemic view of Marx, and how the economic superstructure shapes the
social superstructure.
Social superstructure, and this helps in the functioning of economic infrastructure. And in evolutionary model, he talks about existing societies and also futuristic societies. In existing societies, he gives an account of four societies. One is primitive communism, ancient mode of production, feudal mode of production, and capitalist mode of production. In primitive communism, everything, the population is very low.
Okay,
everyone has everything.
Just explain the different two classes, that's enough.
Okay. In ancient mode of production, there are masters and serfs, and now the slaves are getting exploited. So when the mature condition exists, the new forces of production emerge in case of settled agriculture. Yes. So now the slaves, they want to move to this new form, that is the settled agriculture. That then the feudal mode of production emerges. Now there is lords and serfs. Now again the serfs, they have a slightly independent position when compared to slaves. They pay taxes, and they keep the part of the produce with them.
Okay. So these things are okay. Next is capitalist mode of production, where the two classes are workers and the
workers.
Then we'll move towards socialism, which will eventually end in communism. And we have discussed about a very famous statement also. With that, you will be concluding along with some of the criticisms. That criticism we will be discussing in the last session, where we do the critical analysis. Okay.
Okay.
Guys, I hope all of you understood this, and any doubt, Yashasvi, you can do it tomorrow. Okay. And then any doubts, guys? Any more doubts here? This explanation, I think it covers everything that we have done. The basic things. We don't want to get into the details because it's just a recap of what we have done. Okay. So what we will do today, like what I have told you yesterday, right, when we were discussing about these theory of historical materialism, and then I've told you when the mature condition exists, the slaves revolt, then the serf revolt, right, then the workers revolt. But even though they revolt with mature condition, but still they eventually end into another setup where also they are in a disadvantageous position, right? And what is the reason for that? I told you that I will be explaining you in this session. So this is where I'm actually going to tell you the actual struggle, the mechanism of the struggle, or this theory, we can name it as class and class struggle. So guys, from this only, you will also be getting the content for your Marx theory of stratification. Marx theory of stratification is talking mainly about class, because Marx is giving importance to what? Production process. Marx is giving importance to economic conditions or the material condition. So if that is the case, he understands everything in terms of production, and he is only talking about classes. You can see in all mode of production, he is talking about two classes broadly, upper class and lower class, or you can consider it as haves and have-nots, right? So in ancient society, you can see masters and the slaves. So one is upper class, then the lower class. Feudal society, you can see the lords and the serfs, again upper class, lower class, or haves and have-nots. In capitalism, you will see workers and capitalist, or you will also name it as bourgeois and proletariat, right? So these are nothing but the haves and have-nots, and Marx generally conceptualized two classes, haves and have-nots, upper class, lower class. Okay, so in capitalist society, bourgeois, proletariat, or the workers, capitalist, like that. Now we need to define the class. So first we will go for a definition of the class. It's not a very complicated definition. As you know, everything is related to production process. So the definition of class is very simple. It is nothing but your position in the production process. So you are in a particular system. If you are in a particular production process, it is your position, which position you are in, and what contribution you are doing, what kind of value addition you are doing to that production process. Based on that only, your class is determined. So if you are saying that you belong to upper class, means you may be the business owner or the entrepreneur. If you are saying that you're the lower class, what does that mean? Your position is at the lower level. That means the workers or the manual menial laborers, right? So this is nothing but the position in the production process. Now guys, generally Marx talk about these two classes, but in some of his books, he also makes some references to other classes also. Marx say that there may be some intermediate classes, right? There may be intermediate classes like these managers, superiors, all these are intermediate classes. Marx also give examples like, lumpen proletariat. They are not proletariat. Beyond that, then petty bourgeois. Petty bourgeois means they are not bourgeois at that higher level, but they are maybe the small traders, small business people, not like the bigger capitalist. Okay, so he also make those references. That means these are considered as intermediate class. But what Marx says is, guys, this is what. Now tell me, which one will be more, upper class or lower class? Which one will be more? Which one is the minority, upper class or the lower class? The haves or the have-nots? The rich or the poor? Rich, right? So here it will come. So here the haves or the bourgeois, right? So let me write bourgeois, and then here the proletariat. So this is a big base. There you will see maximum poor people. What Marx talk about is there may be some intermediate class. They neither belong to bourgeois in that sense, they nor belong to proletariat, right? These managers, supervisors, petty bourgeois, the traders, right? These kind of people. But what Marx says is they cannot survive like this for a long period of time. Over a period of time, either they will become a bourgeois, they will improve your business, and they improve their status and they become a bigger capitalist. They might have started a small petty bourgeois like the traders and all, but then they would have become a bigger capitalist, right? Or their business fail and they may come down to this level. Guys, this is what they will not survive in that middle strata for a long period of time. Either they will come down or they will go up. This process going up, they becoming bourgeois, that process is what called as bourgeoisization. Okay, just with bourgeois, I'm just writing bourgeoisization. Similarly, when they are becoming the proletariat, that process is known as proletarianization. Okay, proletarianization. Okay, and the entire process, this process is what you call as class polarization. So what Marx says is, over a period of time, the intermediate classes will be polarized into either upper class or lower class, either haves or have-nots, either bourgeois or proletariat, right? This typically happens in the capitalist system. So Marx generally talk about the capitalist setup. So this typically happens in the capitalist setup. So we defined what is class. It is your position in the production process. It is based on upper class, lower class generally, but there may be intermediate classes. But with time, what will happen? These intermediate classes will be polarized into, you have to use these words and you have to write exactly like this, polarized into either proletariat through the process of proletarianization or bourgeois through the process of bourgeoisization. And the entire process is what you call as class polarization. What do you think will be the criticism of this? Is this true, guys? Now, no, right? What happened? Instead of this class polarization, the middle class have widened. So now it is almost like this, right? The middle class have widened, right? So this is what actually happened. So instead of this structure which is given by Marx, this is what the reality. So Weber talk about this, the role of middle class is getting wider. So this is what you can write as one of the criticism of this concept of class and class polarization. Or you can even use this diagram also, hexagonal diagram, whatever you want, you can, any one of this will be fine. Weber is the best to use. You can also talk about Dahrendorf. Dahrendorf also talk about this. Even you use any sociology thinker, they all will talk about the same thing, right? Because middle class have been widened. The contribution of middle class have been widened. Even the neo-Marxists also accept the fact that the middle class have widened. So there were some drawbacks in Marxian understanding and Marxian theories. So this is actually the reality. So I hope this is very clear to you. Now the role of middle class is getting widened. So this is Marxian idea of class polarization. That can be a question. If that is asked as a 10 marker, you should also be talking about this. I hope this is clear, right? Then there are two more concepts that he is talking about, something called as class in itself. Okay, class in itself and class for itself. Guys, when I say class in itself, it means simply the class itself. What is a class? It is nothing but the position in the production process. So when we talk about the class in itself, this class, if we talk about it, it's a student class. That means your position in the production process. That's what you mean by class in itself. So how it is defined? It is defined on one criteria. What is that criteria? It is your position, right? And is it an objective criteria? Yes, it is an objective criteria, right? So this class in itself concept is actually based on an objective criteria that is nothing but your position in the production process. So class in itself is based on an objective criteria. It is defined on the basis of your position in the production process. That is nothing but the class itself, right? Now class 4 itself, what does that mean? Class 4 itself is when the members of a class develop some consciousness, right? So some workers, they develop some consciousness that they belong to one community and they are suffering, they are exploited. So they will unite them for themselves. That situation is what you call as class 4 itself. This class 4 itself, they are going to work for the class. Like, for example, in this class, you students also belong to a class, right? And if I'm not teaching well, you will be uniting together. So that is when class 4 itself, because you are looking for a transformation, right? Similarly, the workers who are looking for some transformation of the situation for their advantage, that's when class 4 itself will come into existence. So this class 4 itself is based on a subjective criteria. right? Because it is for the class. So what is that subjective criteria? There need to be some consciousness and they are coming together and all those things are there. So that's when class 4 itself will come into existence, correct? So I hope this much is very clear now. We have discussed about what is class. Then we have discussed about class polarization, and we have discussed about class in itself, class 4 itself. You can see this, they have asked many times as a separate question, right? Class polarization can be asked as a, right? Otherwise, class theory of, stratification, there you need to write about all these things that we have discussed. So this is the basics related to the class. Then we will move to class struggle. So when we move to class struggle, that's where we want to, guys, whatever we discussed in the previous sessions, the primitive communism, Mansion mode of production, feudal mode of production, that will be repeated again and again in this theory also. And when we discuss about alienation tomorrow, in that theory also, we will be discussing the same. And you have to take it as an advantage, right? You don't want to do too much of things in Marx. Just understand how different theories are different. Only in some, dimensions it is different. And if you can make some changes, you are done with that particular theory. So what we will be doing here is we have to look for the struggle. Yeah, class 4 itself will come into existence like farmers, these associations, farmers associations, right? Women association, whatever it is, like these are for them, right? To satisfy their interest, or if they are facing some trouble, to solve that trouble, to solve that problems. So they will come into existence for that. That is what based on subjective criteria. Pressure groups. But don't take those as examples in Marxian language, right? Marxian language is different. Self-help group and all, those are different things. When we discuss about class 4 itself, in Marxian terms, it is the group of workers only, right? So that means you can't take like these different groups in the modern society, right? We are talking from Marxian terms. So production, material condition. So you cannot write these as examples, right? But all these, in a way, you can see Marxian concepts are relevant. What Marx have discussed that time is seen in different other dimensions also in the current day. That is the way you can write. But these are not direct examples of class 4 itself as Marx discussed. Slaves uniting against masters, serf, uniting against the lords, workers uniting against the capitalist, right? All these are becoming class 4 itself. But in capitalism, it is the best. Okay. Now what we will do is the struggle, class struggle. Okay. This is the second part of the theory. Now here, guys, we need to see the reasons for the struggle. This is very important. And then we will see the mechanism of the struggle. There are 3 important reasons. First reason that you can consider as alienation. This is your next theory. So I'm not going to discuss it now because we will be spending one day completely for this. We will do this tomorrow. Alienation. Second reason is, as we have discussed already, what kind of relation, what kind of cooperation they are in. 2 different groups. The struggle is between 2 different groups. So we are going to discuss the struggle. We have discussed that they are in cooperation. Tell me, guys, what kind of cooperation? What word we need to use here? Antagonist cooperation, right? So they are in antagonistic cooperation or antagonist cooperation. So that itself is one of the reasons for class struggle, right? So we have done with 2 reasons. Now the third reason is, if you remember, I have told you last session, there will be continuous changes in forces of production. Is there any doubt in that? The forces of production keep on changing. What do you mean by forces of production? It is the tools and techniques and everything. Will that keep on changing? Right? Because every day, even from last year also, you can see the changes now. The change is the only permanent thing, right? The way we produce things will keep on changing. The machines and the technology and the tools and everything keep on changing. So there is a change in forces of production. This will always be there. As a result of it, what will happen? We discussed this point already. There will be change in relations of production. You remember that example that we have discussed, like a farmer, right? So there is a farmer who have some land. Okay, let's say this is his land. So he depend on, let's say, a person X who have this bullock cart setup and everything for tilling the land. But now there is a change in forces of production, and Y have this new technology, that is a tractor. So initially this farmer was in relation with X, but now the change in forces of production, the farmers start thinking that why I need to be in connection with X, because in the modern society, it is not this bonding which is important. It is the material advancements. What money we make is what more important, right? Because we are in a capitalist system where the profit is ultimate thing. So not farmer, you generally, I've just given you example of farmer. You can talk about any company, right? Company in relation with X, but when Y have better some machines or something, this company will shift to Y automatically. Why? The company can improve efficiency, thereby profitability and their profit, productivity. So what happened? The forces of production have changed. So the relations of production also have changed. Now what will happen is the new relation and the existing relation will come into conflict, right? This is also one of the reasons. So what are the three fundamental reasons for the conflict or the struggle? Now guys, one more thing. They can ask you class struggle or class conflict or class antagonism. All are one and the same. Okay, so see, you can see here antagonist cooperation, that's why antagonism. They can ask you any of these, both others, all the three are the same. Okay, so what are the reasons? Alienation, antagonist cooperation, and then with the change in FOP, there will be change in ROP, and the existing ROP relations and the new relation will come into a conflict. Are you okay with now so far? Any doubts here? So that's about the reasons. So what we did, we discussed about the class. We understood what is class. It is a position in the production process. We understood the concept of polarization, bourgeoisization, proletarianization, and class polarization. We saw the criticism also, Weber and Dahrendorf, though I'll be discussing that later as well. And then we discussed about class in itself and class for itself, right? And then we moved on to the class struggle, where I've discussed about the reasons, the three important reasons: alienation, and then the contradictory interest, what is that? Antagonist cooperation, and then change in FOP and ROP, those things. Correct? Any doubts here, guys? Can we move forward? Now, guys, always remember one thing. You, when you are in Thinkers chapter, so this is the most important area. Even after completing Thinkers, even if you take a break or even if you are, not doing optional, it is perfectly fine. But Thinkers, up till this, you have to stick to this and you have to set a goal. How many of you set the goal that I need to complete this area? You have the videos and everything. So this is very important, guys. Now we will be talking about goal setting and everything, even in person also. Okay, so goal, see, what is the ultimate goal? We have a goal to crack this exam. So we cannot do it all of a sudden, right? So we need to take some small steps every day, some small steps. That's how, even if you want to become a millionaire, what you can do, you cannot make 1 million a day, right? So we keep on making small amount of money, and that's how. So you have to keep a daily target, the small targets. A daily target, it should be like sociology, I'll be spending this much time and I'll be covering this theory. So I've done with historical materialism already, and then there is no point in studying it later. It should be clear to you at any point of time. So if someone is asking you to explain, you should be in a position to explain that anytime. You should be in a position that you should never forget it. I'm expecting that you will never forget the theories of Marx. Even if you want to, it will be very difficult for you to forget if you understood these theories clearly. Okay, so this is something which is very important. If not only here, guys, if you need to be successful in anything, even in my trading career also, like I used to make good money in trading, right? So I also kept on having the small goals. When I started, I wanted to make 10,000 a day, then increase to 25,000 a day, 50,000 a day, and now I'm able to make around 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs a day. So that's small goals, right? And then you need to have these tools. Do you have the tools? You have everything. Then what you need some success principles. What are the methods and things that you need to do? That also. Then what you need continuous monitoring. Is it possible for you? Yes, you have me anyway. You can write the answers and you can share that. And then obviously that also you can do, whether you are going in the right path or are you able to write the answers properly and everything. Then ultimately things are related to your habits, right? the powerful habits, right, that you need to develop. At least, guys, this is very important. If you are thinking, if you're planning something, if you need to achieve something, at least till that time, this is going to be very important. Right from your morning, you have to decide what you're going to do till you sleep. You have to decide, and there should not be any compromise on that. And that emotional aspect also, you have to be in a position to manage emotion. If you can, handle all these things, then ultimately you will be cracking it. What I'll give more importance is this: daily goals you have to set. The tools, anyway, I'll be giving you the principles that you need to crack this exam and everything that we are giving. And what you need more, you need a belief in yourself, right? That is very important, that you need to have, right? And this is the most important part, and this is the most important part. So I just want to tell you this: focus on daily targets, whether it is sociology or your GS. Complete it. So for example, you take economy, take one module, national income, complete it. Then there should not be any turn back into that. You should be in a position to answer everything. Same way, another 2 days you take for inflation, then take for other chapters, right? That's how you need to cover it. So always have this flowchart in your mind, what we need to cover in this day. Before you sleep itself, you have to make sure that tomorrow this is what I'm going to do, right? And before you sleep, you have to make sure that you have done it already. Okay, now we will move on to the struggle, the mechanism. Guys, this part is very simple but slightly technical. Understand it very carefully. When I talk about the mechanism, so what is the first, where you see the struggle first time? Which stage? Primitive communism, there was no struggle, right? And when we talk about ancient mode of production, between whom were the struggle? Tell me, between whom were the struggle? Masters and slaves, right? So the struggle was between, there is a group of masters, right? And then there is a group of slaves. Now guys, listen very carefully here. See, by this time, some of the masters have created, some new setup that is related to what? Settled agriculture. So this is actually an emerging class from the masters. What is the word that I'm using? You need to be very clear with the same words. That's why I'm emphasizing this and I'm repeating this. So when you are going for a recap tomorrow, you should be using the same language. Okay. So there is an emerging class. They're related to what? They are related to settled agriculture. So far, there was no concept of settled agriculture, right? Whatever they get from the nature, they get it. Now, these emerging class is so good. In fact, they are futuristic and they have realized that this trend may end soon. So they are looking for something new. They wanted to have a settled agriculture. So they need the slaves to come in their way. Okay. So actually, though there is a revolt, the slaves come together and they revolt against the masters. This revolt is actually aided by the emerging class. It's actually supported by the emerging class. And that is the reason why, if you remember, I've told you, even in the new setup, when they enter into feudal mode of production, there were two classes, right? The lords and this masters, erstwhile masters becoming the lords and the slaves becoming the serfs. So what I'm telling you here is, even though there was a revolt between the slaves and the masters, it was aided by the emerging class from the masters who are related to the settled agriculture. So eventually, they satisfied the interest of this emerging class. And when they moved into the next setup, these people became the serfs and the emerging class became the lords. So guys, still they are in a disadvantageous position. They are not in a position to change their situation. That's why even though they revolted, but this is not based on true consciousness. It is based on false consciousness. Why I'm calling this as false consciousness is because they are expecting that they will be able to change their situation. But that never happened. The more exploitation you will see in the next level, even though that is in terms of rent and that keep on increasing. So that is why it is not based, they revolt, but this revolt, it's not based on true consciousness. It is based on false consciousness. Okay. Again, the same thing will happen like this only. There is a group of lords and then serfs. So from this group, now again there will be emerging class. Tell me guys, who this emerging class will be related to what? Will be related to the factory system. So this emerging class now will tell the serfs, right, that you come out of this mode of production, and then we have the better setup where if you need to work, you can come for work. For the work that you do, you will get the wages. That's it. Other time you are free. So they lure the serfs to revolt. So actually there is a revolt, but this revolt is aided by the emerging class who are related to the factory system. And they revolt, they will move towards factories. But what will happen? These emerging class become the capitalist and they become the what? Workers, right? So eventually, though they revolt, but they satisfy the interest of the few. That's why even here also, Marx consider it as based on false consciousness. So the revolt in ancient and in feudal, based on false consciousness, the reason is they are not able to change their situation. They are supposed to or subjected to more exploitation here. Now, in this mode of production, workers do not have any alternative. No new emerging classes coming here. No new mode of production is coming. So workers in this system, when they get exploited maximum, when the mature condition exists, there will be proper leadership, proper ideology, and proper organization, and they come together for the transformation of all, for the benefit of all, and they form again class 4 itself, which is based on true consciousness, and they capture everything and they move towards socialism. So here there will be one class, no more exploitation of workers. So this is where Marx consider it as based on true consciousness. And then it will eventually end in communism when the workers renounce their power. In this stage, workers are powerful, but in communism, everybody will be equal. So this is a mechanism that I want to discuss, and I hope all of you understood this. Now, once you go through the PDF, things will be more clear to you. Understand, in initial cases, ancient and feudal case, there was an emerging class. So even though there is a revolt by the have-nots or the lower class, eventually they are supporting the interest of the few who belong to the emerging class, who belong to the new mode of production. Correct? That is why they're not able to change the situation. Yeah, change in forces of production is automatically there, no? Because you see here, there is an emerging class, there is a change in forces of production, you can see here. Similarly, in ancient also, there was a change in forces of production. They are moving towards settled agriculture. So all these are actually happening because an alternative setup is coming. Forces of production is changing. Okay. So guys, I hope this is clear to all of you. Okay, whatever we have discussed now, things will be more clear with the PDF. Okay, so normally, as I've told you, I used to explain with the PDF each and every line. So I've changed the style. Now I'm explaining things before, and then we will go with the PDF. So I also request you to watch the video. It will be always better, guys. Before the class, if you can watch the video once, it will be always better, so that things will be more clear to you. Okay. Understanding class occupies. No, change in forces of production is on by few from that particular group. Others from that group will be in a disadvantage. Guys, whoever change with time, they will be always rewarded, right? If you are not willing to change with time, even that is what I also want to tell you. If you understand the situation and if you are willing to change with time, you will also be getting the advantage. We have to, or everybody have to move with the time. It is not necessary the rest of the laws, right? See, where when this Nokia phone, right? Then Kodak, the camera, where are they? They went bankrupt, right? So when there is a change, if you are not able to adapt to the change, what will happen? Others will go, right? Okay, so these relations place individual in different positions, creating abstract strata-like formation, and these stratas are termed as classes. So the stratas, we have discussed the same thing in stratification, and you need to write Marxian theory of stratification exactly from this discussion. According to Marx, men are born in societies where these relations have already been determined. That means by birth, we are born in classes. Our class belong to our father's class, right? Generally, we consider it as father's class. Nowadays, mother's class also, but normally father's class. He states, just as a man cannot choose who's to be his father, he has no choice as to his class. If that who's your father, you belong to the same class. Marx frequently used the term class, but he defines it